Is it the next perfect fake from social media or still someone who truly is different? Precisely therefore, I decided to dig deeper to understand what stands behind this image. He had everything: money, power, fame. One could simply enjoy life, ride yachts, spend days on villas, appear in the news only for the sake of another expensive car or a new watch collection. And nobody would say him anything, because when you were born a prince, you kind of are at the top. You owe nobody anything. Person, even a prince, one day faces a choice: whom to become. Precisely at this moment, it is important who is nearby, who shows an example, who speaks not with words but with deeds. For Hamdan, that person became his father, Sheikh Mohammed, not simply the leader of Dubai. It is a person who respects millions not for the title but for what he made. He always said, a leader is not the one who is above, he is the one who is ahead. Not power for power's sake, not money for money's sake, but service. Service to people, service to one's country, service to the future. Hamdan saw this from the very childhood. He saw how a city is built from sand. He saw how decisions are made not for the sake of profit, but for the sake that after you remains something greater than just a bank account. And at some moment precisely this became his road, not a golden showcase, but the path of service, the path in which there are no days off, in which you each day must be an example for others, the path which few choose. In his childhood, there were no ordinary fairy tales, there were legends of overcoming success and honor. His father told not about dragons, but about business, sport, discipline, and leadership. Bedtime stories were only about records, toys, only if it is a horse, a falcon, or a sports bow. The father himself, a sportsman, poet, and leader, made sport and discipline the way of life of the son. At 63 years, Sheikh Mohammed beat the world record in racing, and Faza grew in the shadow of these victories, soaking like a sponge the strength of spirit and the philosophy of responsibility. It was not a gentle childhood, it was the upbringing of a future ruler. One of the toughest lessons from father, not to be an heir, to be a leader. If you are not capable to rise at 5 in the morning and do 10 kilometers running, you are not a leader. And could you live as strictly as Faza, even having everything? One should, and on Monday I will surely start. For Faza sport, it is a way to think. Not activity for the body, but an instrument for managing willpower, character, and internal focus. Every morning he starts with a run, not because it is fashionable, but because discipline begins with the body. He professionally engages in equestrian sport. In 2014 year, he won gold at the World Equestrian Games. This is an international tournament where the distance can reach 160 kilometers on horseback under scorching sun and in complete devotion. And you know many rulers or heirs who really win world championships in sport, not just for photo, but to go the whole way through pain and fatigue? Number. And this is only part of his life. He plays football with Cristiano Ronaldo, not for hype, but because he lives by sport. He practices parachute jumps, climbs rocks, participates in marathons, and on weekends may simply take and climb Burj Khalifa on foot. Not for cameras, but to test himself. He is respected by such as Khabib Nurmagomedov, not because he hangs out near champions, but because he is one of them himself, in spirit. He is not regarded simply as a prince, he is considered real. And what is important, it does not always look beautiful. There are shots where he falls during hunting, loses balance on parachute, injures his leg during climb, and he does not hide it. He shows his falls. Precisely this makes him closer. Faza does not try to be perfect, he tries to be real. In one interview, his friend tells, he does not endure simulation. If you came to training, give your best. even if you are a sheikh, even if you are not obliged. And it is honest because such trials for him are many and not only physical. He lives under the constant gaze of millions in social media, in news, in cameras. Any word can become a reason for criticism, any mistake, a topic for discussion. Most people, even not being princes, do not withstand such pressure and begin to play a role, become convenient, glossy, fake, personal life, almost a spy novel. In the world where every second can get into the feed, Faza manages to preserve personal space. In the era when people show in social media even their breakfast, he hides the man, his family. He married in 2019 year and the name of his wife still is unknown to the wide public. Not a single official photo, not a single interview, not a single post. Their wedding became an event for the country, but passed without glamour and press. Faza showed that you can be a public figure without turning close ones into part of a show. His children, outside attention, his home, off cameras. It is not intrigue, it is a position. It causes respect because in the world where everything became content, he lives for himself islands of silence. He guards the personal as sacred, and this gives an example to a new generation, silently but clearly. Not everything should be taken away. In 2023 year, Sheikh Hamdan took first place in the list of the most influential leaders of the Arab world under 40 years old by version of Gulf business. He is the crown prince, the face of the most recognizable city in the world, Dubai. But behind this stands not only status, but real challenges and real difficulties. When in 2020 year the world stopped because of COVID-19, Dubai found itself on the verge of economic catastrophe. Tourism froze, small business collapsed, people lost work, and Hamdan did not go into a shadow. He met with entrepreneurs, launched support programs, controlled that the city could preserve its face and return to life as one of the first in the world. When he announced strategy, Dubai Metaverse and supported development of blockchain, part of society raised a wave of criticism. Why do we need Metaverse if people have no stable work? Why do we spend millions on technologies instead of solving real problems? It was a blow from the traditionalists, but Faza continued, because his goal is not today's applause, but tomorrow's opportunities. 2020 year Dubai signed peace agreement with Israel, a step that became historic but caused a wave of negativity in the Arab world. Hamdan was not simply an observer, he became part of the team that accepted this risk. This decision still divides society. This is only part of challenges. Today, Dubai faces growth of prices for housing, dissatisfaction of migrants, threats of ecology, shortage of water, and Faza, as head of the Executive Council, is responsible for each such decision, for each success and for each failure. And this is a hard role because if you bet on innovations, you will be accused of forgotten traditions. If you support the old, they will say that you slow down progress. He lives between two worlds and any mistake can cost reputation, influence and trust. But even under this pressure, he remains a human. He can stop on the street and play with a child, appear at wedding of an ordinary Dubai resident whom he knows only by Instagram, come to the market without security and talk with sellers. In Dubai, they tell hundreds of stories how he saved a tourist trapped in the mountains, how he forbade parking because a bird built a nest on his car, how he founded a fund to help children and animals. And it is not for show. Faza, it is a way of life. He does not play at good deeds, he does them quietly without fanfare. Precisely therefore in Emirates they say, if you met a sheikh, don't be afraid, he will listen to you. Faza, it is not the image of a banner, it is a new type of leader, strong but open, rich but generous, technological but human. And here I want to ask you, And what would you do in his place? Imagine you're 20 and you are head of council of a metropolis. The first decision is up to you. What will you choose? And now let us imagine how his day looks. Yes, a real day of the sheikh and not the schedule for a press release. Because Faza is not someone who sits in an office and flips through reports. He is in movement and each his hour is like a mini film. At 5:30 awakening, without alarms, simply habit. The first hour, silence, light meditation, run on a private road along the sea, not because it is necessary, but because without this, he cannot. 6:30, workout with Olympic champions, boxing, CrossFit, horseback riding. If did not sweat, the day did not begin. At 8 o'clock, light breakfast, most often with family occasionally, video conferences already at this stage. From 9 to 1 o'clock must meetings, government, startups, charity, healthcare. Faza not simply listens to reports, he checks everything himself. He may call the school to learn how goes implementation of new system. At 2 o'clock lunch with guests, often international investors, sometimes school children who won a contest. At 4, sports second wave. It may be parachuting, diving, rock climbing, or simply horseback riding in the desert. At 6, creativity. Time when he writes poems, edits personal video, edits photos, sometimes meeting with artists or poets. At 8, dinner with family, maximum privacy, phones aside. At 10 o'clock, another short session alone with himself. Faza says that at this time he most often writes that which then turns into poems. Could you live so, or at 6 would already have escaped back under the blanket? And at the same time he is active on TikTok and Instagram. Faza uses memes, stories, reels to tell about values. His videos, not just content, it is a cultural code embedded in modern formats. He makes tradition accessible without lectures, without pomposity. Is it possible to simultaneously be a bearer of the past and an icon of Generation Z? Faza tries. And yes, it is difficult. Sometimes he is criticized. They say a prince should not shoot a video with horses under pop music. But Faza answers simply, if you're not with the youth, you are against them. When you hear the phrase, Sheikh supports education, it is easy to imagine a banal handing out scholarships. But for Faza, everything is more complicated. He does not believe in classical, you passed an exam, well done. His idea, to give young people not just knowledge but a sense of mission. He curates mentorship programs in which school children and students receive mentors from business, science, and culture. He invites world speakers to meetings with youth, not for the sake of checklists, but to discuss real issues: climate, aging population, AI ethics. In 2022, he personally initiated the launch of a startup incubator based on universities, so that best ideas of students do not gather dust in folders. He said, "If you are young and you have an idea, you are needed by the country." But even here, not everything is cloudless. Pressure on youth in the UAE is high. Growing expectations, competition, mental health, all this Faza also raises in discussions. He promotes ideas of psychological resilience, participates in campaigns against anxiety and depression, because a leader, it is not only about success, it is also about vulnerability. Not all his ideas meet support. Some startup projects failed and technological reforms were criticized by conservatives. Some believe him too Western. Faza understands, to be a step ahead means always to walk on thin ice. Do you want to become a leader? Are you ready not to sleep nights so that your project survives? Faza does not ask this directly, but every his action sounds exactly like that. Faza rarely appears on front page as a politician, but this does not mean that he's not on the world arena. His style, not megaphones but dialogue. He participates in international forums, humanitarian missions, intercultural initiatives. His strength in ability to unite. In 2021, he became representative of the UAE at the Summit on Sustainable Development, where he spoke not only on behalf of his country, but also on behalf of the entire Arab region. His speech on climate justice caused ovations. He does not speak memorized phrases. He brought real examples, including failed projects that he personally worked on. He actively promotes ideas of new diplomacy. Instead of bureaucrats, real people; instead of protocols, shared values. His team launched campaigns of cultural exchange with Africa, supported joint startup platforms with South America, organized creative bridges with Southeast Asia, and let us try to compare him with other princes. Prince William, United Kingdom, a symbol of stability, charity, and strictness of traditions. But he is often limited by protocols. Fazza is freer. He can parachute and the next day lead a council meeting. Mohammed bin Salman, Saudi Arabia, architect of big reforms, visionary, but with a sharp style and hard decisions. Fazza is softer. He does not break the system, he rebuilds it. Joachim, Prince of Denmark, military cultural figure but works more in narrow frameworks. Fazza, however, plays on all fronts: culture, sport, diplomacy, technology. Hussein, Crown Prince of Jordan, popular among youth, but so far does not possess such volume of powers. Fazza is already not just an heir, but a full participant of power. Fazza is a rare alloy. From poetry to drones, from desert to TikTok, a prince not of the palace, but of action. He is closer, more contemporary, more multi-layered. And now the question, which of them is closer to you in spirit? When I started this video, I had one question. Is it possible in our time to be a real leader? Without falsity, without showcase, without cynicism. And now we pass the whole path from childhood in a golden cage to the top of digital progress. Fazza is not just a person with title, it is a project of a person in epocha when everything is too fast, too glossy and too fake. I do not know if I found the perfect answer. His pluses are obvious. He is active, works, he is not afraid of mistakes, he acknowledges them, he is not closed, he communicates on the same language with people, he not only governs but also inspires, moreover not with slogans but actions, but also enough questions. Can you be one of the people being born in luxury? Is there enough place in the system for the dissenters? Is everything not too ideal? He is not a hero, a faultless fairy tale. He is a person who has power, but he chooses responsibility. He has money, but he chooses meaning. He has influence, but he chooses to be close, not above. Precisely this causes respect. And now a question to you. If Fazza really stood in front of you and asked what kind of leader do you need, what would you tell him?